Hey there. So there was some lively discussion over the last video that I posted, and it prompted me to thinking, and I just wanted to say a few things about what that discussion brought up for me, maybe with regard to this position that I'm in, that I find myself in, and that I think probably many of you find yourselves in as well, for being conspiracy theorists or whatever the hell they call us, you know, for being the kind of people who just see what we're told, what the quote unquote official story is for so many things, and just see that in so many ways, again and again, it doesn't hold up. It doesn't make sense, and that we're aware that the people who are supposed to be entrusted to ostensibly to protecting us and ensuring our freedoms and you know uh, providing us safe and happy lives. I don't know, or just protecting our safety. I guess that we don't entrust them with our happiness. That's something a bit more complicated. But anyway, we're aware that most, if not all, of those people are really, as John Lennon once said, the world is run by a bunch of maniacs who have maniacal ends. Yeah, he said that. So don't totally hold Imagine against him. I hated it. I hate that song as much as you do, but he was pretty based in some ways. John Lennon might might make an interesting jumping off point to talking about what I'm going to try to talk about here, because I know there are some people, just bringing up John Lennon and saying that he had integrity in certain at certain times in his life. Not without being, somebody who just is is just effusively praising the guy all the time, or just thinks that he was just, a wonderful person, or anything like that. And then there'd be people who respond to that by saying that the Beatles were just set up by Tavistock, and they were a total psyop all the way through from beginning to end. And without okay, without questioning that, without saying yes or no to that entire larger question, you know, I find that I often come up against this issue with other truth seekers, if you will, which is a kind of intolerance of dissenting views, which is fed by an extreme cynicism and an extreme skepticism. And so they, ironically, these sorts of people are, sometimes just as dismissive, just as blithely dismissive, just as needlessly dismissive of other points of view as is the most closed-minded so-called normie out there, who just thinks, oh, you think that you believe in all these conspiracy theories? That's just ridiculous. You're just a tinfoil hat wearing paranoid loser, or whatever. So there are also people who just it's like, if you don't think what they think, then you are uh, you are just I don't know, not worth listening to. You're not truly authentic. You're not truly one of them. You're not. I had this. I encountered somebody like this early on. Before I really went down the proverbial rabbit hole. When I was just interested in 9/11, alternative theories of 9/11. They intrigued me. I didn't know what I believed. I still kind of believe the official story, but I was intrigued by these ideas that suggested there were problems with the official story. And I remembered around that time I began interacting with somebody who was just very, very, very full of himself and very sure of himself, and who just was absolutely dismissive of me when I would ask questions. He would just get annoyed. I would say I can't remember what it was, but I would just want to have not even a debate, but just I would just want to get things clarified. If you say this is what happened, then why? How do you account for X, Y, and Z? Or whatever, something along those lines. And he just was just got annoyed, and it just was like, look, mate. I think he was Australian or something, but I'm not going to do the accent, and I'm not claiming anything about Australians here, just because the latest person I've encountered is also Australian, who I had a similar sort of issue with. But I'm not. I don't want to single people out here. That's not what this is for. But I just noticed that parallel there. I don't know whether it means anything or not. So that really put me off. Like his attitude, his dismissive attitude towards me, his belief that he didn't say this, but I don't even think normie was even a word that people used back then. This was several years ago. But basically, he was treating me like a normie who should just be dismissed out of hand. When I was somebody who was inquisitive, I was asking questions, but I didn't have my mind made up on the matter one way or the other. Well, that's not the way to bring along somebody who is open-minded and inquisitive, but who doesn't just totally believe everything that you think you should believe. That's not the way to handle such a person. Just in case you didn't know. Now I'm telling you that's not the way to handle that kind of person. That's not really productive. If you want to bring him along, if you want to help him along towards truth. There's something kind of obnoxious about that whole, you just keep asking questions and eventually you'll get there. I believe in you. Like this whole, I have the truth and you're getting there. You're getting there, fella. There's something condescending in that entire posture, that entire attitude. So, that's not the approach that I take. And that's not, I know plenty of people who would be called quote unquote normies, but I don't look down on them for being normies. I don't think that, the fact that they haven't given these matters the kind of thought that I have, and, that I think, I mean, people have to live their lives, they have to live their lives. Not everybody's drawn to, asking these kinds of questions. And that doesn't make them bad people. Okay. So anyway, I think what I come up against a lot in the movement, if you will, are people who have totally, I mean, it's like, Well, they're like being on the fringe. They call it the fringe, and calling it the fringe is kind of is a dismissive thing to call it. That's like saying, oh, you're lunatics. You're not mentally balanced. You're on the fringe. There is something to questioning everything that can lead some people to just what I think is just an irrational embrace of everything that every alternative theory that gets flung their way, and basically their default is to just say, well, whatever the normies don't believe, that's what I. And if somebody comes along and says, the normies feel this way, but here's this theory that's totally different, and then they just are immediately prejudiced towards the theory that's totally different. And I'm not going to get into this. Is not about me debating whether or not any of these things are true. This is just more epistemological. Is that the right? Am I using that word correctly? This is about the nature of looking at these questions. And I'm just going to use flat Earth as an example. This is not about whether flat Earth is real or not real, okay? But it is about how I think some people just get on board of with flat Earth just because it's not, it's different from what they teach in the schools, and it's different from what we've been taught to believe about about our world and about I would say our universe, but I guess for the flat Earth people, the world is the universe. But just about reality. I think there are people who have come to believe it, who have noodled it over and have come to believe it, after a thoughtful, after spending some time thoughtfully asking themselves questions. And but then I think there are also people who just believe it because it's spiting the normies to believe it. And things that are weird, something that's weird to me about flat Earth and also about Tartaria sort of lore. And it seems like people who believe in flat Earth also tend to believe Tartaria stuff, which is interesting. I'm not exactly sure why that is, but because it doesn't seem like they necessarily have anything to do with one another. But maybe I'm just missing something. But it's weird to me how that stuff just came up suddenly, like maybe 8, 9, 10 years ago. Maybe not even that long ago. People started with flat Earth anyway. Was maybe about 10 years ago. And for most of all of my life, hearing flat Earth or the Earth is flat, things about the Earth being flat, that was just sort of like what you said to talk about an absurd position. If they told you the Earth was flat, would you believe it? Or, something like that, and it was something that nobody, even all of the, most hardcore conspiracy theorist types, the questioners of reality, nobody took the idea of a flat Earth seriously, which isn't to say, again, I'm not saying that they were right not to. I'm just saying it's strange to me that all of a sudden it became this thing that people could believe in again, I shouldn't say again, again after, I don't know, hundreds of years since the last time that people believed in it. It was weird how that just almost grew up overnight in my perception. And the Tartaria stuff, it seems like that was maybe maybe that hasn't been around as long, but suddenly it was like, oh, all we've understood history wrong. We've been lied to about history, and there are missing. There's this whole empire that was around and that was all over the world, and we were told these things about the like the American West being unsettled, but actually it was a part of this grand and glorious empire, and then they made it all go away, and they erased all of that history, and just to befuddle us, or just because of their nefarious agenda and whatnot. And it's interesting. This stuff is interesting, but it's also just strange how I never heard a damn thing about Tartaria until 6 years ago, maybe. And suddenly it was something that, skeptics were believing. It was something that, it was something that people who questioned official stories, who thought that the powers that be, whom we were supposed to trust, that they were lying to us. They started to believe the Tartaria scenarios as well. And again, just like with flat Earth, I'm not saying that it's not true, but it's weird how it just became this thing that a lot of people just jumped onto. And yeah, so that's all I'm going to say about that. I think this is going to be probably a 2-part video, because there's a lot more that I want to say, but I don't want to make this longer than 20 minutes or 20 minutes ish. I guess I'll wrap up this first part by saying that there's a danger when you're somebody who is eschewed normydom, and you realize that this 9/11 doesn't make sense, that the last 3 years don't make sense, certain that you become aware of certain things like pedogate, the Franklin scandal. For that for me, as I've said before, was the huge thing that really rocked my world. Just because that was where it became clear that so much of the people who are supposed to be watching over us, the people who are supposed to be our guardians and our protectors, were in many ways, just aiding and abetting and facilitating the worst kinds of abusers, who were the powerful, and the powerful seem to be in cahoots with high-level law enforcement who always scrupulously covered up for them. And it just seemed like there was ample evidence of this. There was way too much evidence of this for it to be just dismissed out of hand as a conspiracy theory. So anyway, I'm there. I mean, I'm totally on board. But then I sometimes become aware of this other way of thinking within